Oh.
Now that we have learned about scientific notation, it is time to practice. We are going to write these numbers using scientific notation. They're actually not just numbers, they're decimal notations. So we're going to turn some of them are whole numbers and some of them are decimal notations, but we're going to rewrite them using scientific notations. So the first step is that you need to find the decimal place. Keep in mind that if I move my decimal left, remember this rule. If I move my decimal left, the exponent goes up. I think it's easier to start with 0. So 10 to the 0 power. I think that's going to make it a lot easier. So let's take a look at our first number right here. All right. So what we need to do, we need to start here on our end right here, and we need to work or move our way left. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're going to stop right here. Remember, I said you should have one digit right here to the left. So I put the decimal point, and I imagine that I'm starting at 10 to the 0 power. And that number went up each time. So I'm going to move the decimal point to the left. And that is what I did. So my new number is going to be 3.749. How many times did I move?
9.
9 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I moved that 9 times, so that would be times 10 to the 9th. I think that's pretty easy. Now, notice our next number has a decimal. Our number has a decimal. So instead of going up, the exponent is going to move down. So remember, let's think about starting at 10 to the 0 and move down. So this right here is our starting point. Right there where that decimal is, that is our starting point. And I try to think about this as being like 10 to the first power. To the negative 1. So in my mind, I say I'm moving 10 to the -1, or should we say 10 to the 0?
Matthew, didn't you say when you move right, the exponent's going to go down?
Yes.
So wouldn't that mean the decimal itself is your 10 to the 0? Like where you start from?
Yes, where I start from. So this is 10 to the 0. And this one would be 10 to the first. Then this one would be 10 to the second. This is 10 to the third power. 10 to the fourth.
See, those are supposed to be negative.
Yes, they are negative. -1, -2, -3, -4. Then this one, 10 to the -5th. Now, you don't actually have to write these out like this. You can just keep this in your mind. 10 to the 0. Remember I said started at 10 to the 0. You're going to move to the right. 10 to the first power, 10 to the second, 10 to the third, to the negative. 10 to the -4th, 10 to the -5th. But I'm going to stop right here. And I'm going to place my decimal right there. Why did I place my decimal right there?
Because the coefficient has to be between 1 and 10.
Because the coefficient has to be between 1 and 10. Absolutely. So my new number is 5.269, the same number right here, times 10 to the -5th. Because we move 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Those were the times we moved. From here to here, that's 1. And I drew the lines, but you could have done this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's really the best way to do it with the little hops. But I drew the lines there to show you that we were moving in a negative direction. So this is our answer right here. 5.269 times 10 to the negative fifth, or 5. This is the answer to this one. Okay, good. So let's try another one. Let's keep everything still. Let's try another one. Take a look at this number right here. We're going to start at 0 down here at the end, and we're going to move backwards. We're going to start at 0, 1 digit to the left. So we're going to go backwards. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Did I do that correctly?
Yes, ma'am, because it's 8.13.
Because it's 8.13. So we would write that as 8.13
Times 10.
times 10. How many times did I move?
11.
If I started at 0. Here's my 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that will be 10 to the 11th power. So this is my new number. Pretty good, huh? I think y'all are catching on really good. And now we've got one more. This is a decimal notation. Can move it up just a little bit here. This is a decimal notation. And we're going to start right here. I'm going to be moving this into the right. Okay? I'm going to move this to the right. So why am I going to start? Where should I start?
At the decimal.
Always, yeah. We're going to start right here at this decimal point, right here. And what direction should we move to?
The right.
We're going to move right. We're going to move to the right. Remember, the decimal point is always going to be 10 to the 0 power. So this would be 10 to the negative 1, 10 to the negative 2, 10 to the negative 3, 10 to the negative 4, 10 to the negative 5, 10 to the negative 6, 10 to the negative 8. And we're going to place our our decimal point right there. And how many times did we move? 8 in this direction.
Miss Eve, I think that's 7. Would you mind going through the hops to be sure?
I sure will. 1, 2. Remember, this is our starting point, right?
Yes,
so we
ma'am.
go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Miss Eve, wouldn't it be 2.14?
It would be 2.14. So do we need to move one more?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we do. That's what you call a common misconception. Okay? So you definitely needed to move, but to explain why you needed to move one more.
Because the power of 10, the coefficient has to be between 1 and 0.
Thank you.
I mean, 1 and 10.
Between 1 and 10, you couldn't use 0, could you?
No, ma'am.
No. So you had to move over one more. So your coefficient, and this is what you call your coefficient, your first part. These are your coefficients. So it would be 2.14 times 10 to the negative 8, because we had 8 moves. We moved 8 times, and we moved to the right. We started at 10 to the 0, and the exponent is going down. Here is the rule again. The exponent, when it goes down, you move to the right. Okay? So the exponent is going down, and that is why we have a negative number. I hope you all learned a lot about writing these numbers using scientific notation. Now, we're going to continue, and we're not going to write them using scientific notation. We're going to flip it. This is going to be fun. Now we're going to write in scientific notation, but we're going to turn them back to regular numbers. So we're going to take we're going to turn these numbers back to your regular decimals and whole numbers.
Miss Heath?
Yes.
Wouldn't the word for that be standard form?
Yes, standard form. We're going to take it back to standard form. You are absolutely awesome today. We're going to go back to standard form or regular numbers. Okay. Now, how do we do that? Let's think a little bit. How are we going to do that? So let's take a look at our first number. Now, for each space in between, we're going to write in new zeros. Just think about that. For each space in between, we write in new zeros. So we're going to go from scientific to regular. And we're going to be thinking about using this decimal notation. So what we do, we're kind of flipping it backwards a little bit. So we're going to look at this first one right here, 7.921. Here's our decimal point, which is our starting point. And we're going to move right. We're going to move right. So it tells you 10 to the 8th. So we're going to call this right here 10 to the 8th. And then we're going to say that 9 is 10 to the 7th. We're going backwards. So if this is 10 to the 7th, then that 2 must be 10 to the 6th. Now I'm not going to keep writing them. Yes, I will. I'll keep writing them. So this 1 would be 10 to the 5th. I'll keep going so you can see what I'm saying. Now when we get to 10 to the 5th, we've got to keep going. And we've got to fill these blank areas with zeros until we get all the way to the 8. We're on 5. So we've got to fill the missing zeros in. So we're at 7, so we're at 10 to the 5th. So if we add a 0, that's going to give us 10 to the what?
4th.
10 to the 4th. We add another 0, that's going to give us 10 to the 3rd. We add another 0, that's going to give us 10 to the 2nd. We add another 0, that's going to give us 10 to the
1st.
And we add another 0, that's going to give us 10 to the 0. Remember, our goal would be to get back to 10 to the 0, which would be our starting point.
Don't you want to go for the hops to be sure, Miss Heath?
Yes, I do. So let's hop, hop, hop along. And let's see if we moved 8 times. So here we go. We said this was 8. So we're going to say 10 to the 8th, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Did we move 8 times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So what is our answer? This is what our new number is going to look like. 7, 9. Hope y'all can see it. I'm not blocking you. 2, 1, comma, 100, comma, 0, 0, 0. This is our new number.
Miss Heath?
Yes.
Wouldn't the 7 have a comma between the 7 and 9?
Yes, sorry about that. Awesome.
So our final number is 7,921,100,000.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So you went from scientific notation back to standard form. Okay? And what you did, you took the exponents. You looked at your exponents. Step 1. Look at my exponent. I see 8. So I just took the exponent and I moved the decimal. I started at the decimal and I moved the decimal to the right. I just kept going right until I got back to 10 to the 0 power. Yes.
But didn't you say when you move to the right, the exponent number goes down?
According to our list, when you move to the right, it does go down. But when you're going from scientific notation to back to regular, what happens?
The exponent gets smaller?
The exponent gets smaller. Good observation. Good job. So notice what we did now. Step 1, look for your decimal. Take the exponents and move the decimal to the right until we got back to 0. Good job. Let's do another one. 8.2 times 10 to the negative 5. Now, what I want to do here, I want to get rid I'm sorry. I want to get this exponent back to 0. Remember I said I want to get back to 0? We're at -5. So if I want to get back to 0, I want the number to go up. I want the number to go up because it's a negative number. It's a negative number and I want it to go up. So I want to move the decimal right here to which way? Left or right?
Left.
I want to move it left. Why do I want to move it this way?
Because you're going from -5 to 0.
That's right. I'm going from -5 to 0. So what I need to do, I'm going to write my 8.2 here. And I'm going to go back. This is -5. So just consider this as a -5. So we've got to hop back 5. So we go back 5. This is -5. What is this? -4, -3, -2, -1. And this will be 10 to the 0 power. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And we're going to fill these in with zeros. So we got a 0 here. We're going to fill that in with a 0. We're going to fill this one in with a 0. And we're going to fill this one in with a 0.
Miss Heath?
Yes.
Wouldn't there be a decimal point next to the far left 0 and then a 0 right next to it?
Hold that thought for just 1 minute. We're going to write this in a decimal notation. So I want to move the decimal to the left. So when I rewrite this, how should I rewrite it once I move this decimal?
0.0000. One, Miss Heath, one more. 82.
.0008 point. I got it too close together. That should be a dot there. Let me do it again. 0.00008.2. Let me cross that out because I got it a little bit too close so you can see what I did. Now tell me again what I did, young man.
You moved to the left 5 times.
I moved to the left 5 times, -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I rewrote it. And this is the answer.
But would there be a point between the 8 and the 2, or would it just be 82 at the end?
So it would be 0.00008.2.
Miss Heath, if I may make a suggestion?
Yes, go ahead.
Once you move the decimal point, the decimal would no longer be between 8 and 2. So it would just be 82 at the end.
So you don't need 2 decimals, do you?
No, ma'am.
You sure don't. You do not need 2 decimals. Who in here ever heard of a problem with 2 decimals in there? So don't forget, you guys, to get rid of that decimal at the end. So what is your new answer? Again.
0.0000082.
Boys and girls, when you take that milestones, there are going to be lots of little tricks like that. And you got to be careful not to fall for those. Please be careful. So I try when I teach, I try to show you ways that you can get caught up. But we're going to keep going. We're not going to let any more tricks happen. Let's go. We got 2 more here. Okay. 4.13 times 10 to the third. I want this back down to 0. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move to the right. I need to move it to the right. So I'm going to take my 4.13 right here. And when I move it to the right, I'm going to go this way. How many times do I move? I got to go. If I'm at 10 to the third, I'm going to move what? Down, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So if this is 10 to the third, because that's what I look at, 10 to the third. So if I start at 10 to the third, then what's this? 10 to the second. We got to get back to 10 to the 0. This is 10 to the first. So then we've got to get to what? 10 to the...
Second.
Well, we did 10 to the third because that's where we are. So I'm going to put 10 to the third if that will help. Then this is going to be 10 to the second because we're going in what direction?
Right.
We're going down and we're moving right. This will be 10 to the first. And then we've got to make our way down to 10 to the 0. So I've got to add a 0. So in order to make this 10 to the 0, then I'm going to rewrite my number, which is 4,130. Because what happened? My decimal ended up where?
After the 0?
After the 0. So I had no more decimals left after I chunked it and moved it all the way down. So this is my new number, 4,130. And last but not least, we've got our decimal here. 5.2216 times 10 to the negative 9. So we're going to go up to get back to 0. We're going to have to move up. And when I see that negative 9, I know I've got to, it's sort of similar to this one. Okay? So I've got to move in what direction? I've got to get back to 0. So I'm going to move to the what direction?
The left.
I've got to go left. I got to go left. I've got to go left. When I saw that negative 9, I knew I had to go left. So now this is going to require a little bit more work here, but we got it. So I'm going to start over here in this corner, and I'm going to write 5.2216. And I know I got to move to the left. I'm going to fill in zeros. Fill in zeros until I make it all the way back to negative 0. Again, you got to get back to negative 0. So I'm going to start here.
Miss Heath?
Yes.
Is there such thing as a negative 0?
Yes, it is. There is no, it's not negative 0, but I got to get back to 0. Thank you for reminding me of that. Once I get to negative 1, I will end on 0. Think about it on a number line. It's no negative 0, but you got to make it back to 0. I always try to put a picture of a number line in my head. So here we go. Good question. So we're right here on 5. So we're going to go back 1. That's going to give us negative 8. This is negative 9. When we get here, we're at negative 8. Negative 7, negative 6, negative 5, negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, and 0. And then we're going to fill these spots in with zeros. So we'll know how many we had. Just take your pencil and fill them in with zeros. See how I fill those in? And now that's going to give us our brand new number, which is in decimal notation. So our decimal is going to end up where?
At the 0.
Right here. So our answer is going to be decimal 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 5, 2, 2, 1, 6.
Miss Heath?
Yes.
Wouldn't there be a 0 before at the left side of the decimal as well?
Would there be a 0 at the left side of the decimal? Yes, there would be. So where would I put it?
Before the decimal? Another 0 before the decimal?
Another 0 before the decimal. So it would be here.
A little more to the left, Miss Eve.
Right here. So there you go. So let's see how many we got now. We said that this was what?
Negative 8.
We started at negative 8 with the 5. Here's the 5. And we said that we were moving to negative 9. So 5, this is 9. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So that 0 stands for your 0, right? And then this is your first negative number, which is negative 1. So what he's saying is that this is 0 and this is negative 1. You get what he's saying? So it will be 0.0000. Good job. Awesome. Wow. Y'all did a fantastic job today on taking these scientific notations and turning them back in standard form or regular numbers. Please, boys and girls, I need you to watch this video over and over again. You have lots of homework this week. You will need to use this for your homework. Enjoy. Bye.